Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you very much to all the students who are there right now with me in this tutorial. And I would like to also thank all the students who are regularly liking and sharing my videos in their groups and making me popular day by day. Thank you so very much for all the efforts and for all the interest that you're showing in my videos. I hope you guys are enjoying all these videos which I'm shooting right now on this amazingly beautiful channel named Geeks for Geek School, where you get to learn free of cost coding. And we guys are, to be very honest with you, are working very hard so that we can provide you the best content on YouTube. So if you'll keep on liking and sharing our videos like the way you are doing right now, it is definitely going to motivate us to provide you with a more better content. And if you have any ideas, I would like to request you all to please share with us your ideas in the chat box so that we can check them and we can provide you with the most some amazing videos based on what your requirements are. Right, and thank you very much in advance for sharing your ideas. Okay, so as you guys know that we are already done with learning that free games module, with the help of which we can develop games on Python. And right now we are working on Pygame. So we are learning how we can use Pygame for developing games, and I've shooted 2 lectures earlier in which I have done this much of coding. So before diving into the next part, before explaining you the next part in which we are going to learn how can we create players in our game, I would first like to tell you about this whole code. I would first like to brief you, rather I should say like this, about this whole code which I have defined till now on this amazingly beautiful platform named Pygame. I find it very simple and easy. Installing packages on Pygame, it's very easy. And then there is one more text editor which I would definitely like to use in future, and the name of that text editor is VS Code, Visual Studio Code. It is again a very good package with the help of which we don't have to fire any command for installing any package. We have a search box like this, which the way we have a search box on Pygame, in the same way we have a search box in VS Code also. We can simply put the name of that package that we want to get on our device, that we want to install on our device, in the search box, and we can install it on our device just by hitting the install button. Right, so Pygame and VS Code are very much similar, but on VS Code what happens, you can use various other languages also, but Pygame is mainly for Python. So that's the basic difference between Pygame and VS Code. If you want, you can go for this Pygame. If you want, you can go for VS Code. Right, it is totally your call. Let me now explain you this code which I have defined till now on this Pygame interface, Pygame environment. So we have imported this Pygame module using this import keyword. Then from this pygame.locals we imported these keys. Right, so key down is the function with the help of which we can identify the key which the user has pressed. So it is basically used for finding out the input provided by the user at the time when the game is running. Right, then we have this pygame.init. As I've told you, if you want to if you're running this software, if you're using Pygame on your device and you don't want to see any compatibility issues, you don't want to come across any compatibility issues, so you'll have to first sync your Pygame specifications with your hardware specifications. So that's the function which helps us in doing the same. Then for defining the dimensions of the window on which we want to see the whole game, these are the 2 variables I've used. So screen underscore width is for width of the window, and screen underscore height is for the height of the window. Right, it's very simple. When you will do it on your own, definitely you'll find it more interesting and more simple. Then we have this function named set mode, which you can find in this display property. So this, with the help of this set mode, what you can do, you can set the dimensions of the display window, okay, on which you'll see the whole game running. So what I have done, I have passed a list type of parameter to this set mode. You can pass a tuple type of parameter also, it is totally your call, right? I find list much simpler in comparison to tuple because these are changeable, right? Tuples are not changeable, so that is the reason I avoid tuples. Then I have passed these two parameters to this set mode. Okay, let me just see if everything is going fine or not. I've got disconnected from the internet. Just give me a short moment. I have to check whether everything is going fine on my YouTube or not. Sorry for the trouble. Okay, I am live right now on YouTube. Everything is going fine. Okay, sorry for the trouble. And let me just check this thing also. Yeah, everything is going fine. Okay, so then this set mode is going to help us in defining the dimensions of the display. We have this variable named running over here, which we have initialized with this value true. So while this running is equal to true, what will happen? So you know, that's the for loop I would like to use for checking the type of key user has pressed. So with the help of this event, you know, we can get the input from the user, whatever input the user will provide to us at the time when the game is in running mode, so we can get it if you want to capture that event. So you can make use of this pygame.event.get. Now if the event type is key down, if suppose the user has pressed any key, so we can use this you know, condition. If event type is equal to key down, then we'll have to check which key the user has pressed. Suppose the user has pressed this escape key, so what should happen? The value of running should go false and the window should automatically close, like this way. So if I'll run the code, that's what I will get as an output. It's very simple, you know, see, that's the window, and you know, that's the surface which we have on this window, which is acting as an obstacle right now. So I've told you in the previous lecture, we'll be designing a window that we have, that you're seeing right now on your screens, and we have this obstacle, right, which you generally get to see when you are making a collision based game. So there will be a player, and this you know, surface will be colliding with that player, and the player has to protect himself from these obstacles, right? Because as soon as he will collide with this obstacle, the game is going to go, the game will end, right, and the window will get closed automatically. That's how we are going to code the whole game. But for now, I'm going to tell you I would like to tell you that, you know, what will happen if I'll click the escape button. So if I click the escape button, this condition will become true, this condition will become true, and the window will get closed. We will not be able to see the window anymore. Say, what is the second way the user can close the window? He can hit the close button. So as soon as he will hit the close button, this condition will become true. Event.type event.type will become equal to quit, and the window will again get closed. Why? Because the value of running variable will change from true to false. Then we have this screen.fill, which we have used for filling the background of the screen, right? Then these are the lines of code which we have used for creating that small black rectangle which you're seeing over here, somewhere in the middle of the window, right? So that's we have created. This is the surface that we have created with the help of this surface function. Using this surf.fill, we have filled the background color of the obstacle. We have given a color to the obstacle, and then get rectangle is giving a rectangular shape to the surface. Then with this blit, as I've told you, if you want to get something reflected on your screen, you can use this blit function. So it is for block transfer. Blit is for block transfer, remember this thing, and flip is for transferring everything on the window, right? And then we have this pygame.quit. So that's what we have defined till now. Okay, Now I would like to just come here over here below this pygame.display, below this pygame.display.flip, and what we are going to do today, we are going to define the code with the help of which we'll be creating players for our game. But before doing that, I would first like to check the comment section. If I have anything to answer, I would like to answer those queries first, because I'm really interested in answering your queries. But mostly I don't see any queries in the comment section. Maybe everything is clear to you, or it may be possible that you're not interested in this game development thing, which is very much in demand in the market. Let me tell you, it has a very high demand. You can make your career in this field, right? So please don't take it lightly. Everything whatever I'm explaining, try to grasp that thing, and it is better if you will practice everything on your device, so that you can get in hands-on experience of these things. Definitely you will be able to create with the help of these small basic things. You will be able to create something big one day. Okay, so let's now define a code with the help of which we can create a player. So for that, I would like to define a class first. We can have a class with name player, let's say, and inside this what we can do, we can make use of inheritance. So pygame.sprite, we have this pygame.sprite with the help of which we can create sprites. I hope you know what are sprites, right? If you don't know, please check out my game lab lectures. Just a second, I think I've again got disconnected from the internet. I'll have to check one more time whether everything is going fine or not. Okay, connection successful. Just give me a very short moment, trying to find out whether everything, just checking whether everything is going fine on my channel or not. Yeah, everything is going fine and I am live right now. Okay, so let's now begin coding this player. So pygame.sprite we can use. So that's the class, you can say, which you can extend, which you can inherit the properties of. Fine, so that's the way we can inherit something on Python. I hope you know about this. If you don't know, please check out the previous lectures. Then super is a keyword with the help of which you can inherit all the properties of all the functions and all the classes, all the functions and all the methods we have in this class over here. So super, and then inside this we can put this player, and we can have this self keyword, right? If you want, you can use some other name also. It is totally your call. I would like to now initiate it. That's what we do in Python. And then we can have this self.surf, right? Pygame.surface, and now it's time for us to define a coordinate. So I would like to make use of a tuple for this, 7525. Fine, and then we can have this rectangle. So self dot surf dot get underscore rectangle. Sorry, yeah, now it is fine, I think. Rectangle. Let me just run this game and see if everything is fine. So there is an invalid syntax. Why is it so? Okay, I haven't defined the colon over here. I think now it will give us the correct output here. So I'm getting this window, I'm getting this surface also, because I haven't yet called the class, so that is the reason I'm not getting any output from this class over here, but definitely it will also give us some output when we'll call it. I have again got disconnected. I'll have to reconnect it again to my internet. Yeah, reconnection successful. Okay, so what we have done here, this init function is using this super function to call the init method, right, for of sprite. For calling this sprites init function, this init function over here is using this super method. As I've told you that we have used inheritance over here, right? Now the next thing that we have to define is, again I've got disconnected, I don't know what is happening today. So the next that we have to define and initialize is the serve to hold the image to display, right? So which is currently a white box. Okay, that player is a white box, remember this thing. Now that is the reason I've used this rectangle over here. So we'll be getting a player in the form, of a rectangle, a small rectangle. Okay, to use this new class you need to create a new object and change the drawing code as well. So we have already done that. Now let's fill the surface, fill the screen with black color. For doing that we can simply come down and here we can use this screen.fill, right, and we can put these coordinates over here 0, 0, 0, so it's for the black color. Now it's time for us to define the blit function. In order to draw, if you want to draw this player on your window, if you want to get this player on your screen, so that's the function you can use, screen.blit, right, and then we can pass these parameters to this function, player dot serve. Okay, and then we can have this player dot rect, I think it will do. Okay, and for updating the screen we need one more function. So that function is, if you have seen my previous lectures you must be knowing the answer. So the function is the flip function, which is used for updating the screen. Let's now check whether this code is going to give us the correct output or not. Okay, so I am not able to see any that player over here. Why is it so? That's what I have to find out. But before that I would like to check my channel again, whether everything is going fine over here or not. Yeah, everything is going great. Let me come back. Fine. So name player, class player. Okay, so it is saying that fine. You know why it's not working? It's not working because we haven't defined any initiate function for this self. That's the reason it is not working. So what we can do inside this, we can put this function init, right? We can put this init function like this, and that's the parameter self, which will automatically come as soon as you'll write it. Fine, and now it's time for us to define everything inside this function. So we can do it very easily like this. Okay, let me now check if this time I'll be able to get the output or not. Still I'm not able to see the player. Why is it so? Do I need to put this also inside the function? Let me see if I can get the output with this. Still that player is not visible to us now. Why it is happening? That's what we have to find out. Class player pygame.sprite, this is fine, right? Then we have this init function self super player comma self dot init. Okay, we have this function, then self dot surface pygame dot surface. We have defined the coordinates here where we would like to see the player getting reflected, self dot rect, self dot surf, and here we have pygame dot surface. Okay, so here we have to change something. Why? Because here we are using self dot surf dot get rect, right, which is for self dot rect. That is perfectly fine. We have missed one line of code, and that is this. We haven't filled the surface with any color, so we'll have to fill it with something. I would like to fill it with white colored, so 255 255 255. Let me now run this code and see what are we going to get. Still we are not able to see the player getting reflected. No problem. Now it's time for us to what we have done, we have filled the screen with this black color. That is perfectly fine. Let me do one thing. If I'll so here, if I'll remove these lines of code, if I'll remove these lines of code from here, let's see what's gonna happen. So right now this one is not working. We'll have to find out why it's not working, why this code is not giving us the correct output, because everything is correct. So why we guys are not able to get the output from this? That's what I'm trying to find out right now. Running is equals to true, that is fine. Pygame.display event in Pygame, key down, key space, fine. That's where we have defined the surface. Do we require the surface now? Let me do one thing. If I'll eliminate this from here, surface, because we don't require it anymore, let me just eliminate it and see what's gonna happen. So I'm getting this thing, but I'm not able to see the player. Why am I not able to see my player? So this is fine, this is fine. Then screen dot surf dot get rectangle, that is perfectly fine. And I think we have called this rectangle somewhere. Okay, then we have this screen dot blit. This is also fine. Class player pygame dot sprite. This is perfectly fine. This is going to help us in creating the sprite. We have this init function self super player comma self dot init. Okay, this I have to put this over here, right? And that's one mistake which we guys were doing. Okay, and is any other thing which we are missing? Let me check. Self.surf is equal to pygame.surface. It is fine. Self.surf, so it is going to fill this color on the surface background. Self.rect, self.surf.getRect. This is fine. That is going to help us in filling the background. Why we guys are not able to see that? Let me do one thing. Let me increase the size of the surface. I think because you know what is happening right now, the size of the window is this. Okay, but the size of the surface is very small, this black surface. It may be possible because of this we are not able to see the player getting reflected on it. So how can we increase the size of the surface? Now that's what we have to think about. So for this we can put here so we can use another variable like surf underscore center. Okay, and then we can sorry, inside this we can have a tuple. So screen.width is the size of the screen, right? And if I'll subtract the size of the surface, width of the surface, so how can I fetch the width of the surface? Using this simple method surface dot get width. So that's the one which I'll be using for fetching the width. Okay, and then because I seriously don't want to see it covering the entire window, so I'll be dividing it by 2 so that I can see it in the middle. Same thing I would like to do with this, what we call it, just a second. Same thing I would like to do with the height part also. So what we can do, we can put this divide by 2 over here, and then we can pass the same thing, but we'll have to replace width with height, right? We can now replace these width with heights, so HIGHT, and here also we can replace this width with height. We can replace these width with height. Let me now run this. Okay, I'll have to now hello Jay. I'm live right now. Okay. Sorry, okay, so I'm done with replacing these width with height. Now the next thing that I need to do is I need to call this surface on my screen. So for doing that, we can use the same function like screen.blit we have to use first, block transfer, and here we can use this surf, and the second variable surf center, we can pass these two as a parameters to this blit function, and then we can use this pygame dot display dot flip for bringing everything on our window. So remember these two functions whenever you're making whenever using Pygame. You can make use of these two functions. Still I'm not getting the required output. Now why is it so? If I'll remove this code from here, now let's see what's gonna happen. Everything is blank. Why? Name surf is not defined. Okay, it is not able to identify the surf. Now I think it will be able to identify the surf. Rectangular blit function. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me put this whole code again here, and if I just cut the code from here and put it inside this while loop, I hope I'll be able to now get the required output. Okay, so we have these two surfaces, but I don't want that, right? I don't want that to happen, so I'm removing this from here. Let me run this code. So we have these two surfaces now, two different surfaces, but I don't want to see two different surfaces. So screen.width, this is fine, this is fine. Okay, no problem. Let's come here, let's come down. In order to make the surface, in order to increase the size, we can do one more thing. Instead of using this long cut method, we can go with a shortcut method, like we can increase the width and height like this. I hope that will do. Okay, we are able to increase the width and height now with the help of these. We can change these two points over here. So I've changed it to 350, 350. Let's see whether we'll be able to see whether we will be able to get the required output or not. So we are getting this kind of screen surface right now on our screen. Okay, and let me now check my channel whether everything is going fine on it or not, and also I would like to check the comment section if I have anything to answer. Okay, so everything is fine, but this this thing is not giving us the player. This is not this code over here is not giving us that rectangle, that white color rectangle on the window. Now that's what we have to find out here. Why is it not able to help us in getting that white rectangle on that window which is appearing when I'm running this code? So it should appear somewhere over here, but I'm not able to see it. Why is it so? That's what we have to find out. Let me just check this code again. So I've extended this pygame.sprite.sprite. This is perfectly fine. We have defined this init function. Then there is this super function which is helping us to inherit all the properties from the parent class. Then we have this self.surf, which is also fine. So that's the one which is with the help of which you can define a surface. So these are the dimensions of the rectangle. If this code will run properly, definitely we'll be able to see that rectangle on the window, but it's not giving us the required output right now. I'm trying to check why is it not giving us the required output. So self.rect, then self.surf.getRect. It is the same code which I've used, with the one which I used for creating the surface. The same code I've used here also, but I think there is something which I'm missing, because of which I'm not able to see the white rectangle on my window. I'll have to find it out. Screen, then we have this self.rect, self.surf.getRect. It is also perfectly fine. We have this fill option here, we have this surf option here, right? Pygame.surface, okay, surf. Then we have this rect, self.getRect. And now once we are done with that, we'll so here everything is fine. Let me see why we are not able to get the required output. Let me run this code again and see what is missing. So rectangle, this black rectangle is there. We have this window also over here. All right. What is the issue in this code? That's what I would like to find out first. Why this code is not working properly. So screen.fill, this is fine. This line is also perfectly fine. So when we develop these things, definitely we come across these kind of things, these kind of issues, but definitely everything has a solution. Trying to check what is the issue. Why is it not giving us that player on this output window? let me check from the beginning. So I've imported this Pygame freecom, then we have this pygame.locals screen width, fine, and then we okay, fine. Let's do one thing. Let's copy this whole thing and let's put it after this point. I think that will do. If we'll define the class, this player class over here, I think that should give us the correct output. So player pygame.sprite.sprite, define init function super init, then we have this self.surf is equal to pygame.surface, we have this self.surf.fill, we have this self.rect is equal to self.surface.getRectangle, and then we can, okay, let me just cut down these lines of code from here. We have this pygame.init, fine. Now because the background was coming on the player, maybe that's the reason the player was not visible to us. Let's now see whether this is going to give us the correct output or not. So pygame.init we have done. Now it's time for us to create the screen object. So a screen is equals to pygame.display.setMode. Here we have used this, what we can do, we can put these two variables over here. I think that will be great if we can put it, if we'll put it before the class. Pygame.init, we have this screen object over here, right, and set mode. So we have passed these two parameters to this set mode function, and then running is equals to true. This is fine, key down, this is fine, and then we have this screen.fill 190.122. so we can change it to something else. Let's make it 0,0,0. So can we have a, so that we can have a black background, and then simply we can remove everything from here. Screen.blit, fine. So here, what we can do, we can make some changes in this line of code. So instead of surf, we can have player.surf. I think that will give us the correct output. We can have this player.surf, and then we have this whole screen width. Just a second, I'll have to modify this code. So screen, yeah, this is perfectly fine. Then we can update the display. So that's the function which is going to help us in doing the same. Now let me just run this code and see what's going to happen. What is the output we are going to get? So name player is not defined. It's not able to recognize this player named thing. Now why is it so? Let's check it out. So we have defined the player here. Why is it not able to? Okay, so it should be capital P, I think. Yeah, now if we'll run the code, we are still type error has attribute. Okay, let me change it to small p only. Fine, just a second. I think we'll be able to get the output very soon. So player, this is fine, this is perfectly fine. We have this player over here, right, and then player class, it is perfectly this we have perfectly defined, right? Screen width, screen height 600, class player pygame.sprite.sprite. Then we defined the super function self.serve.fill. Okay, and then we have this initiation function over here. Then we created the object with the help of this. We did this. If if you want, you can change it to tuple also. It's totally your call, as I've told you. Whether you want to pass it in the form of list or you want to pass it in the form of tuple. Okay, what we can do, we haven't created the object for that player named function. That's what we were missing. Okay, so I have created an object over here. Let me now check whether I'll be able to get the, yes, we are now getting this player over here. See, this player is coming on this window. So that's the player I was, trying to create, and it's now visible to us. So the mistake that we were making was we didn't created this object for this function, and we were calling it here. That's the mistake which we were making. And we didn't place this player.surf. In place of that, we were using only surf. So that was again a mistake that we guys were doing. What this function surf was doing for us, it was creating the surface, but it was not creating the player for us, right? So now with the help of this player.surf, we are able to call the player, and we are able to see it like this on this screen, right? I hope you have understood this whole thing. Now it's time for us to define the code with the help of which we can move the player. And how can we do that? Now that's what we have to that's what we are going to learn about now. But first of all, before diving into that step, I would like to first check whether everything is going fine on my channel or not, and also I would like to see if there is any queries related to whatever we have discussed till now. Yes, it took a really long time for resolving the issue. We were not able to see the player, right? But now everything is running fine. Okay, so there is no query. Let's now define the code over here. So what we can have a variable, let's say pressed keys, and inside this we can use this function of Pygame. So Pygame underscore key dot get underscore pressed. That's the function which you can use for checking out the key which the user will press. Okay, then we can have a function like this, define update function. You can have a function of your own choice. Inside this I would like to pass these two parameters. So pressed keys also we can pass. Now what we are trying to do, we are trying to find out which key the user has pressed. Based on that, we would like to see the player moving. So if the key pressed by the user is this K up, if suppose the user has pressed this key, what should happen? The player should start moving upwards. Now how will make the player move upwards? So self, we can use self dot rect dot move underscore IP. So that's the one which is going to help us in making the player move. So because while moving upwards, the movement is going to take place along the y-axis. So only the y thing will get affected, not the x thing. That's the reason I've passed 0 for x and -5 for y. Same thing we can do for the downward, for moving the player downwards. So we can have an if control statement, and if the key down will be pressed by the user, then the player should start moving downwards. See how simple it is, right? Then we can have for the key right and key left. So we are going to have for the key left first this code. So self.rect move IP, and here what we have to do, we can pass -5, and then we can here pass 0. If you want to make it move fast, you can change it to 10 or -10, right? Similarly, you can make the changes in the other lines of code also for making it move faster, and let's replace it with right. So that's the code which is going to help us now in controlling the movement of the player. So 5,0. Fine. So we have a function named update which we are going to make use of for making the player move in all the directions. Okay. Now we have this while running over here for event. This is perfectly fine. So here we have defined the while loop in which we have defined some lines of code which is going to help us in finding out which key the user has pressed. Right, before this thing I would like to define this whole function, so I'm putting it over here. I'm putting this function below this line of code. Yeah, I think that will make a sense. Then event.pygame.get, this is fine. If event.type is equals to key down, the user will see whether the user has pressed the escape key or not. Else if the user has pressed the close button, so the value of running is again going to become false. It will become false and the window will get closed. And inside this while loop only we can use this pressed key keyword like this. We can put it over here, player. Now what we are doing, we are using the object that we have created for that player named function. We are going to link that pressed keys variable, that update function we just created, with that player function with the help of this object player. So we need to first get hold of this pressed keys variable, and here we are going to use pygame dot key dot get underscore pressed. Right, then we can close the brackets. So this function, as I've told you, is going to help us in finding out which key the user has pressed, and that key will get saved in this pressed underscore keys. And after that, if the player dot update, so we can pass this pressed keys as a parameter to this update function, and finally screen will be filled. Okay, rest everything is going to remain as it is. We can now run the code and see whether we'll be able to move the player or not. So if I'll press the left direction key, why am I not able to move this player? I'll have to check it. So name pygame is not defined, pygame key is not defined. Have I used pygame or something like that in my code? Yes, pygame.key is defined, but why is it not taking this? It's a property, right? Just a second, I'll have to see whether everything is fine or not. We have this update function, self then pressed keys is there. This is perfectly fine if pressed key. Okay, here I've used pressed keys and here I'm using pressed keys. Now that's an error. That's why I'm getting an error over here. I have to change it to pressed keys, right? That is one thing which I need to change. What else I need to do? Let me just see to it. So pressed keys, have I used this term, this function anywhere else? Okay, I have to remove it from here because I've already used it in this while loop, right? So that is the reason I've removed it from there. Okay, so pressed keys pygame dot get underscore pressed. So this will help us in finding out which key the user has pressed, right? And then player dot update. So we are calling this player dot update inside this while loop. This is perfectly fine. Pressed keys we have passed over here. Let me just see if I can get the required output now or not. No, I'm still not able to move this player. Now why is it so? Okay, I'm getting the output from this if control statement and from this if control statement, but I'm not able to move the player. Why is it so? You'll have to find it out. There is a very small error, I think, because whatever we have defined, it's almost correct. We'll have to find out. We'll have to search for the error. No problem, we'll do it. So key up, Am I making any error in this? Have I made any error in this line of code? Pressed keys. This is fine. So pygame dot key dot get pressed. I think this is perfectly fine. Yes. So player dot update, where we have used this player keyword, we have used it here. Perfect. So player will get updated every time the key will be pressed. Pressed keys. Okay, and this is an infinite loop. This will run till the time the value of running will become false. So as soon as the loop will run, these lines of code will also get executed, and these will remain active till the time the value of this running variable becomes equal to false. So I have made no mistake in this. Let me check if everything on the top is fine or not. So I've used this update function, in which I've passed these two parameters. Am I live or not? I hope I am live right now. Yes, everything is fine. Okay, so define update function, pressed keys, player.update and pressed keys. Yeah, this is also fine. If pressed keys, if it is key up that is pressed, then this should happen 0,5 self.rect.move IP 0,5 if press.keys. Over here everything is fine, so why we are not able to get the output? We have this update function, self, pressed keys, key up, key down, key left, key right. Then if pressed keys is equals to pygame dot key dot let me remove this from here, and if I now, yes, we have this key and we have this get pressed function also over here, so this is perfectly fine. Now player.update, I'm calling these two things player.update. To link this update function with that player function, I've used this line of code. This is also fine. And then pressed keys I've passed as a parameter to this pressed keys. Okay, just a second. If I'll change, everything is fine over here. Let me just run this code again and see whether I'm able to move this or not. Why am I not able to move this player now? That's what is the issue. If I'm pressing the escape key, it is taking this input, but it is not accepting the input from my keys. Maybe possible there is some issue with my keys, but they are working fine. Is anyone who can tell me what's the issue in this code? Is anyone right now? If pressed keys key up, this should happen. This should happen if if the right direction key will be pressed, then this should happen. It should start moving in the right direction. Okay. Fine. Then Pygame. Let's do one thing. Let's see this issue in the next lecture. Right. Everything is fine. I think there is something which I'm missing, and I'm really not able to get that thing at present. What I'm missing, maybe I have made some spelling mistakes somewhere. That's the reason, I am not able to find that error. No problem, we'll do it in the next class. But you can use this code definitely for moving your player, for controlling the movement of your player. Okay, see you in the next lecture. I hope you guys enjoyed this one a lot. Thank you very much for being there with me in this tutorial. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye everyone, take care.